Hello and welcome to Home with Sarah Jane. Today I wanted to share a couple of recipes with you. These are recipes that we used a ton during our no spend month and my family really enjoyed them. What I'm talking about is granola. So I'm going to share two of our favorite granola recipes with you today. I do hope that you enjoy them as much as my family does. So if you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Sarah and I'm a homeschooling mom to two girls, ages 10 and 14. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for stopping by once again. I do really appreciate you. So the two recipes I wanted to share, they are, what are they? They are peanut butter granola and vanilla granola, also known as vanola in my home. And my family, they just love these recipes. I am going to show these recipes as being very basic, and I'm not going to add in a ton of like extras because I wanted that to be up to you. So if you choose to make these, you can add in, you know, dried fruit or nuts or anything like that, coconut flakes, chocolate chips, whatever. I decided to go ahead and leave that up to you because the base of these granolas are just so delicious as is that you don't even need to add in all of that other stuff because they're just so good. You know, I guess you could say plain, even though they're not plain. So let's just jump right into making the granola. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm actually going to preheat my oven to 300 degrees so that it's nice and ready. But all you need for the vanilla granola recipe is brown sugar, ground cinnamon, coconut oil, honey, rolled oats, salt, and vanilla extract. So I am going to start off by getting 1/3 cup of coconut oil and 1/3 cup of honey into this microwavable bowl. Microwavable bowl. There we go. I just like to melt down the coconut oil first with the honey. It's just easier to mix it all together. I always thought that granola was very hard to make. I was always intimidated by it. But when I first started doing no spend months, which was, you know, a couple of years ago, I would add a no spend month in here or there. I started making my own granola and it is so easy and you can just add so much to a basic recipe and kind of clear out your pantry making different types of granola. Now for the honey, again, this is 1/3 cup. You can heat these together on the stove top, but I'm just going for the quick and easy microwave today. Okay, so now this is all melted together. I'm gonna start adding in the other ingredients. I'm gonna start with 3 cups of rolled oats. This is my family's favorite granola recipe right now, so they're really looking forward to me making this right now. Now the next thing I'm going to add is, what am I adding? Oh, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Now you can add as little or as much cinnamon as you want. My family just likes what is this? 1/4 teaspoon. I can't think today, sorry. And then the next thing I'm going to be adding is some salt. I want to add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt into this. And then I'm going to add in some brown sugar. I do think that this brown sugar does make a huge difference in this recipe. I don't like to use a lot of white sugar in my granola, but I make my own brown sugar, so it's even more flavorful because I can control the amount of molasses that goes in here. But I'm adding 1/4 cup of brown sugar. And then I'm going to add in the vanilla. Now, this is a vanilla granola, or a vanola, so this does take 4 teaspoons of vanilla. Whoops, that was a big one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see my perfect measurements there. Oops, now I dropped the lid. We'll get that later. And then you just mix this all together. And that is pretty much just the basic recipe to this vanilla granola. Like I said earlier, you can add in so many different types of things into this like base. I've done, what are they called? Dried cranberries. I've done pecans. I've done almonds, and all of them taste fantastic. Another thing that goes great in here, because we use coconut oil, adding in some shredded coconut would be really yummy in this recipe as well. So I'm just gonna spread this out. Okay, and then you do just want to kind of spread it to where it can dry out really easily in the oven. There we go. So now that I have this all spread out in a nice little layer, I'm gonna pop this in the oven for 30 minutes. So it goes in at 300 degrees for 30 minutes. After 15 minutes, I'm going to stir it around and then bake it for another 15 minutes. So 30 minutes total. Okay, so for the last granola recipe I'm gonna show you today, it's a peanut butter granola. So this is my youngest daughter's favorite. She really loves peanut butter. And this one, you have to like peanut butter in order to eat this one. It is very much an overpowering flavor in this granola, but that's what she loves about it. So for this recipe, you need peanut butter. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, creamy or chunky, just some peanut butter, some ground cinnamon, oats. I use rolled oats, honey, and vanilla. So this one is actually a really super simple recipe as well. Okay, so just like the last granola recipe, I'm going to make everything in this like microwavable glass bowl because I like to kind of melt the peanut butter a little bit just to make it easier to work with. So for this one, you need 1/3 of a cup of peanut butter. I'm using the same measuring cups, I didn't wash them out. So you need 1/3 of a cup of peanut butter. And then you also need 1/3 of a cup of honey. And as you can tell, this is pretty similar to the vanilla granola recipe when it comes to measurements. If I could speak. Except instead of coconut oil, you're using peanut butter. So, oop, that's a bit much honey, but that's okay. Extra flavor. That was a heaping 1/3 of a cup. So all I'm gonna do is put this in the microwave for just a few seconds, just so that the creamy peanut butter gets a little bit more, you know, liquefied. Okay, so now that I have this all mixed together and it's all smooth, I'm gonna go ahead and start adding in the dry ingredients. So for this one, it's the same. I just need 3 cups of rolled oats. I need 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Again, you can use more or less. This is all what you just like. So there's that. And then I just need some vanilla. And for this recipe, it only calls for a tablespoon, not a tablespoon, ignore that. It only calls for a teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, and then all you do is mix it all together. Like I was saying, this one is very much a peanut butter flavor. The peanut butter really does come through, so you really have to like peanut butter for this granola recipe. Now, what's great about these recipes that I'm showing you today is that you can just double or triple them and just make a really large batch of granola all in one shot because they are so easy to, you know, double and triple these up. Okay, and then into the oven at 300 degrees for 30 minutes. Again, this is 15 minutes and then you're gonna stir it and then another 15 minutes, so 30 minutes total. Here is the vanilla granola, or the vanola, out of the oven. It is all done. Now, one thing I wish somebody would have told me when I first started making granola is that it is still really wet looking at first. You have to let it sit on the countertop and completely finish cooling and drying, and then it gets, you know, crunchy and harder and turns into, you know, that fabulous granola that we know and love. So I'm gonna let this cool completely and just harden up, and then I will show you what it looks like when I break it apart at the end. Okay, so here is the peanut butter granola all done and out of the oven. Again, this one is still really soft, so you do need to let it sit out on the counter to dry up and cool before you break it all apart. Okay, so once the granola completely cools off, it does harden, and then you could break it up into pieces like this. Sometimes I make them really small so that they can have it like a cereal, and then sometimes I do these big clusters. It really all depends on what you like. And then I just store it either in a glass mason jar or in like one of my cereal containers. I didn't make too much tonight, so I don't really need to worry about, you know, storing it in a huge container. Okay, so now on to the vanilla granola, or the vanola. I do already have some already made, so I'm just gonna add it to this container. We do eat through this one really, really fast. And as you can see on this one, again, it is really crunchy now. This vanilla recipe is really, or vanilla granola recipe is really, really great to add in other flavors. I've added cranberries and pecans to this recipe. I've added peanuts and chocolate chips. I've also added peanuts and chocolate chips to the peanut butter one, and that one's really good. But you want to add the chocolate chips after you bake it. So that is everything for today. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comment section. Thank you so much for stopping by. You have a great day. Bye.